Hello, Saints, and Sister Junebug here with her latest recap and review of Kingdom Business, Season 2, Episode 3, Why We Sing. And the synopsis for this one is a confrontation between Danita and Darlene, that's her mama, leads to a shocking revelation. Calvin acts to protect the family, and a reluctant rebel joins Taj in performing at Caesar's prison ministry. So it starts off with Bishop Calvin sitting at the breakfast table eating when he opens up his laptop and there are pics of his two children, Taj and CJ, with red X's over them. And so it looked like people been following them and taking pictures. And there's a message that says for him to keep his mouth shut. You've been warned. And he hurries up and slams it down. He's like, oh, Lord, I guess. And then it switches over to Rebel in bed with Xavier. This breaks my heart because I was hoping she didn't go and do that, like sleeping with him just to get a record deal or something like that. I was like, Jesus. Now I understand why, what's her name? Essence was like, oh, it's like they coupled up for dinner, like her and Taj. It's a perfect match. And I'm like, what is she saying? He's supposed to be her record producer. He's supposed to be her man. But anyway, in the middle of having sex, he called her a nasty biatch. She said, what you call me? And slapped the crap out of him. She went, pep! And she was like, get out of here. And she got up out of the bed and told him to get his disrespectful ass out of her house. And he said, please let me explain. And he was saying how some girls like that, but that's not who he is. And she said, who you are is what I hear coming out your mouth. And she said, now go. And she made him leave her apartment, and she made a call to somebody saying she been trying to reach them. So I don't know who that was. It's probably that girl, that lady that she always calling and talking to. So then we have Danita. She coming into work. I guess it's her first day. This beautiful, like, orange, I don't know if it's orange or reddish orange pantsuit. She working that thing. You better go, Miss Danita, First Lady. And she gets in her office, and her mama, Darlene, is in there. And she stands there and clears her throat, puts her pocketbook, like, boom, down on the table, and was like, look, you'll feel more comfortable over at that table over there. Like, this from the awards and stuff I see up here. This is my office. And she's like, I just moved aside to let you shine. And, she just like, the mother is too much, okay? But now you see Danita too much, too. That's where she get it from. Between her mom and her daddy, I don't know who worse, I tell you. Anyhow, Darlene get up and walk out over to that table talking about, wait till I tell your daddy how you talk to me. She probably said father, but I like daddy better. Anyway, then we see Taj coming into the studio, and he happy showing Caesar the picture of his baby. I guess the sonogram is called or something. And Caesar laughing. He talking about he got a big old head just like his daddy. And so, Taj seemed to be excited about it. But they all look different. He got a new haircut and stuff, got the sides cut off, got a cross carved into the side of his head and everything. So everybody's looking a little brand new this episode. So I don't know what happened, but they all look different. Tell me down in the comment section if y'all don't notice that. From episodes 1 and 2, they all look, each character look a little brand new and happy or clean cut or something. Anyway, so Taj is telling Caesar how Essence got their whole life planned out, when the album gonna drop at the birth of the baby and all of this stuff. And Caesar laughing, saying, maybe she'll squeeze you in for a honeymoon. And Taj is laughing like, you got jokes and everything. But then Caesar said on a serious note, he really want to make sure that they good because he's still gonna go through with this. He may still go through with that injunction, that lawsuit. He said he got 60 more days to go through. But, it depends on his mother's, state of mind, Danita's state of mind. So Taj is like, a lawsuit, really? He said, look, I gave your mama a chance to make it right, and she didn't take it. And you know what? Taj couldn't say nothing because he know how his mama is, don't he? We all do. So now we have somebody named Ren McKinney, who is Danita's attorney. He comes into her office. She didn't remember who he was at first. She wants him to try to make that frivolous lawsuit go away. I said, look at her. Here we go again. She's still going to act like she don't know what she's supposed to be doing. And she said she just want to focus on getting her voice back. And he's like, it sounds good to me. And she's like, my singing voice, it's a big difference. He said, well, that's why it's insured. And she said, it's insured. She said, for how much? He said, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. I said, Lord, look at her little evil mind was already spinning. But she said she don't think she'll have to use it. But anyway. And so then it switches over to Rebel coming into Caesar's office, and he telling her that she gonna be performing at the Lakeland Correctional Facility. It's a prison, and of course, Rebel thinks she too good for that. She don't want to do it. But he said it's gonna be with Taj and other people. She don't want to, but he told her she got that contract with him, and she gonna do it. And she's like, whatever. But Taj is trying to tell her she may be a blessing to somebody. Then he told her this other gospel singer's going to be there. And she's like, did you tell her where it's going to be? She said, and they told her that's the reason the gospel singer want to come. She want to come because she loves what the Caesar's doing every year at this facility, at the prison ministry, I think it's called, something like that, a prison ministry or whatever. But they blessing people. He let her know she is contractually obligated. So there ain't no ifs, ands, and buts, booties, or whatever about it. And he tells Taj he got to sing, and Taj don't want to. He said, you can't hide behind that piano forever. So you going to have to sing. And that was that. Now we see Danita in there rehearsing her voice, trying to practice with her voice. And she's there with her. I guess that's her voice coach or something. And he's telling her what she's going through, he can't fix. And she said that maybe she should get somebody who can fix it. And it's like, no, don't be cruel now. And he lets her know that her problem is not a physical problem, that there's something blocking the songbird within her. And she's like, what? And he said it's either a mental issue or spiritual issue. So he said she need to either see a therapist or go to God. I said, well, hallelujah. Now we back to Rebel and Taj, and she's listening to him. He's at the piano working on a song, and she thought it was for the prison ministry or something like that, or Essence, but he said no. Actually, it's a song for her he's working on, and he wanted to know, did she want him to help? Did she want to help with it? And then she said no, and that he let her know that Caesar's pushing him to sing. And like, she's like, I know you get nervous, but if you get nervous, all you have to do is look at me. I said, oh, girl, excuse me. You better say that. Say that, baby. But before all of that, she did ask him how his mom is doing and how his dad is doing. And she lied and said she haven't seen him since she slapped him. I don't know why she even mentioned it. But that was a lie because she saw him in last week's episode at that event she was doing. She probably embarrassed that she doing that event that Danny did, that her friend did, and ended up getting killed. When she saw him get beat up and kicked and bruised and everything, and she never said a word. Doesn't it make you wonder why? I think she just embarrassed at what she doing. I was laughing though that she was reluctant to do the collaboration with him. He said, as Taj put it, since we did so well on the last one. But she was like, nah, that's okay. You do it. Anyhow, now we have Danita that went to see Dwayne, because when she having issues and things, she go to talk to him. And he tried to remind her of what is going on. He asked her, do she remember the dream that she came to him about with the baby and stuff? And she said something about one of her children hurting and stuff. And she said, but she don't remember. He asked if she remember which one. And she was like, she don't know which one, because Taj was rushing into marriage and CJ was suffering from little mental issues. And he reminded her that God told her to tell the truth. She got to tell the truth. And she's like, why would God save my life to take away my gift, which is her voice? And he was like, because you need to tell the truth, and you ain't doing it. You had 2 messages in one dream. You know what you're supposed to do. I said, well, Jesus, go on now. And she's like, there's been so many lies. I don't even know where to begin. And he told her to start from the beginning. Ooh, and when we find out what the first lie, where it first began, honey. So she had to go back and see her mama. because her mama drove her all the way out there somewhere out of Atlanta to give birth to a baby in secret. And she said, you and daddy couldn't even stand looking at me no more. And I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. And the mother was making her feel like she was a piece of crap. And she told her, baby, the baby died. And she was like, what? You never told me that. I always thought I had a child out there somewhere in a great family, living and stuff. And she said, well, you was a mess. I didn't have no time to tell you all of that. And you wasn't ready to be a mother. She said, but you pressured me to give it up for the kingdom. I tell you, they use that excuse for everything, for the kingdom. God ain't pleased with them people. I tell you, them Jordans, God is not pleased with them. Then she tell her that the baby died from SIDS, the sudden infant death syndrome, months after the baby was born. But I think she lying. What about y'all? So now we have Rebel. And she's talking to that lady again. What is that lady's name? I always forget her name. Hold on. Anyway, the lady is telling Rebel to get to know who she is. You know who Rebecca Bell Moore is. And spiritually and personally and musically, get to know who you are. Don't accept anything less than what you deserve. And she told her she thinks it'll be a good idea for her to sing at that correctional facility and be a blessing to somebody else and uplift somebody else, But she did ask her everything that's going on with Taj and with Xavier and what she expected from them and, Rebel shared how she was feeling. And then that was that. But Rebel was upset that lady didn't agree with her about that prison singing. She told her it's a good thing to do and she should do it. But I forgot to say one thing. There was that scene with Danita and her mama, and Danita was telling her mama she had that truth. You kept me in the dark. And her mama said, sometimes that's where the truth belongs, in the dark. And I said, ooh, that just sounded bad. I don't know about y'all, but that didn't sound good at all. So now we have a scene with Rebel and Xavier, and he's at her house, and he brought her this beautiful watch. It's an expensive watch. She said it costs more than her car. And he's telling her, that's okay. She's like, why are you giving it to me? He said, somebody gave it to him. He didn't steal it, because that's what she was thinking. And he said, people give him stuff all the time. And he said he giving it to her, hope she'll forgive him for that macho stuff that he did this morning, and forgive him. And she was like, yeah, okay, but I ain't putting up with it no more. And he said, fine. And she said she ain't looking for a boyfriend. He said, great, because I ain't looking to be your boyfriend. He just want to have some fun. I said, Lord, help us. These young people today. So he just want to have fun. And if she get tired of him, that'll be fine. We'll stop and we'll just see each other in the studio. She said, okay. And that was that scene. So now we see, Bishop Calvin doing some craziness. He got a bat or stick and he bust this old man up beside the back and knocked him to the ground. And it was the chief. It was Chief Ray. And he threatened him and said, you threatening my family? You threatening my children? What you doing? And he said he want to know what's going on. And he made the chief give up names as to who is threatening his family. He's like, what you going to do? And he let him know that he made a scene that other night in that place and people was not happy. They was nervous and stuff. And he said, I want to know who did it. Who is in charge? And he said that Dex was upset and stuff, but Dex doesn't pull all the strings. And then he told him who the person is because he kept threatening him with that bat. And he's like, tell me. And he told him it was Peterman. He's like, who? He said, yep, it was Jack Peterman. He's the one that pulls all the strings at their gatherings and stuff. That's what they call it, the gatherings, when the hookers come and the influential men are there and they just touching and rubbing and having sex and all that. You know what I mean. So anyway, he told him if he not telling the truth, he gonna come back and crack his skull. And he left him laying on the ground in the alley. Now, he a police chief. How you just doing that to him like that? He could haul him into jail. I said, Lord. So now we see Bishop Calvin meeting with Taj, and they out on a bench outside having a good time. They drinking coffee and stuff, and he's asking about Essence and does he love him? And of course, both of them, neither one of them really love their wives. Bishop is saying how, kind of like he grew to love their mama and stuff like that. But we know that was an arranged marriage, and Taj talked about the wedding and stuff, and then Bishop took off his glasses, and Taj saw he had got busted in the eye, Dex had done to him, so he blamed it that he was street preaching, and he told him to be careful because what he's doing is upsetting people, but he didn't tell Taj the extent of what he's doing, but he's telling him to be very careful, and Taj is like, you too, Dad. But one other thing that was nice that the bishop said to Taj was that he got an unexpected blessing from his union with Danita, and that was his two beautiful children. So that was nice. Next, we have Darlene. She has a meeting with Calvin, Danita, and CJ about the dire state of their family business, and it didn't go very well. She told Calvin he should have gone on sabbatical like she and Jeremiah had suggested, instead of preaching in the streets. That's how he got that black eye. And they look in, and Danita said, that's how you got CJ's like, oh, Daddy, you got to be careful. And he said, we all need to be careful because his actions have drawn unwanted attention on all of them. So then Darlene asked CJ if her mother apologized to her for interrupting her preaching, and then she turned, CJ ain't say nothing, then she turned to Danita and told her as if she was a little girl to apologize to CJ. And she did, stating, I'm not myself, baby. And then Darlene tells them about an interview she has arranged with someone called Sky Johnson. I don't know, he must be a news person. And she handed them all talking points that they each had to learn. And she told them not to go off script. And they just all took the scripts and got up and walked out. They was just like, had enough of her. So now we got Caesar. He's at the prison talking to the prisoners, saying how he's so grateful to be back with them all again and letting them know that he is a living example of what a second chance looks like. That's why he named his label Redeeming Records. Then he introduces everybody who's there. He introduces the Belief Choir, and then he said Taj is on keyboards, and then the singers Rebecca Bell and Jewel, and then he said we got a special guest singer Naomi Rain from the group Maverick City. I said, all right now, we got Maverick City in the house. And then they started singing a beautiful song called Gyra. And now it switches over to Danita and Calvin, and they talking, and he's letting her know how she used to write a lot of his sermons, and she was like, really? And he reminded her about a sermon that she wrote, one of his sermons she wrote, and he got up there to say it, and it was a way, I forgot what scripture it was, but it was a way of her telling him that she was pregnant and they was going to have their first child. So they was reminiscing and getting along. I wonder if this going to lead to them having some kind of relationship, a second chance at being a loving couple. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We shall see. So she tells Bishop she don't want to lie anymore, and she lets him know that Taj wasn't their first child. And he said he knows that her mother told her. And right before the wedding, she said, I should have known. But let's see how long this lasts with her not wanting to lie. She might have bumped her head and got a little amnesia, but I bet you she gonna start lying again. Y'all just watch and see. So now we have Danita going in there to see her daughter, CJ, and she apologizes to her again. A really heartfelt apology, whereas even CJ is taken aback like, oh, okay, mama. I love this mama. Oof. But she did say that she came there to support her, and I understand that. Unless their church is live streaming, I don't know if their church live stream like my church, but you want to see your daughter do her first sermon or preach her first sermon. Any one of your children, you want to see them preach their first sermon. So I get it, wanting to be there, but she should have been there early instead of walking in during the sermon times. You know how it's programmed. You know how the Sunday service going at what time. Anywho, CJ thanks her for saying that. And then we move on to the next thing, which is why I'm laughing about this, her not wanting to lie again, because her attorney comes back into her office. And guess what? She finds out that her voice is insured for $30 million. And guess who has the insurable interest in there? Her mama, Darlene. She took out the policy. So if something happens to Danita's voice, her mama gets $30 million. And Danita's like, what? Are you kidding me? And he shows her you signed off on it. So I'm like, how did her mama pressure her into doing that? Was she in some kind of funky state of mind when her mama did this to her when she was a babe? Younger. So she looks at him and say, please, give me some good news. And he tells her, the good news is that he spoke to Caesar's attorney and that Caesar wants to wait to serve the lawsuit. And she said, for what? And he said, until your mind is clear. And she's like, oh, so my amnesia is a blessing? And he said, well, it looks that way. And she's like, imagine that. See, that evilness in her is already coming back. Now, she spoke to Deacon Dwayne and he told her she had to tell the truth. And she trying to act like it's frivolous, but she know what she did. And she know that he deserved the credit for that album. But the devil is still busy in her head, in her mind, in her spirit. She ain't gonna get her voice back till she do right by God. I'm telling y'all, I'll be very surprised if she do. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all thought about this episode. I thought it was another blessing. It was a learning message for everybody, all of us, okay? And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed already. Subscribe, like, comment, and share because sharing is caring. And I'll see you in the next video. God bless.